Hey, and welcome back to Game Talk. I'm your host, Eamon Mia, and today I'm joined by Connor
Hey, guys.
and Ranga once more, our special guest.
Hey, everybody.
And interestingly, we recorded our previous episode with Ranga back in April, but I just now got around to releasing that episode. So the listeners will be getting a double dose of Ranga here. So
Yeah, it may
enjoy
feel
that.
like just moments for you, but it's been months for me.
Right, essentially, yeah.
Months of waiting for Sonic Frontiers to come out.
Oh, man.
Yes, and I think we will talk about Sonic Frontiers at a later date, but the reason I have gathered the two of you here today is to talk about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So, there was a lot of anticipation leading up to this game, and when it finally released, right, Twitter got bombarded with clips of like really poor performance and weird glitches, and instantly all of those became memes, of course. And I saw this, and I was just like, oh my god, Game Freak is so incompetent, blah, blah, blah. They're the worst. How do they keep messing up Pokemon like this? But, begrudgingly, because I always do, I bought the game. And I must say, I freaking love it.
I'm deeply enamored. Yeah. I haven't had this much fun with a Pokemon game in a really long time. That's not to say it's without flaws. Obviously, the performance is bad, and there are a few other things. But I haven't been able to put this game down. I've loved it.
Feels like to me like the evolution of Pokemon.
No, it's the Pokemon game I always wanted as a kid. So just to set the scene up for me, I grew up all the time. I would go to my grandma's. I think I was up there like once a month, and I had my two cousins that I would sit down, and we'd just be sitting around my grandma's table playing our Game Boys, playing Pokemon. And that was like all the time. Well, Scarlet and Violet came out this weekend, and I was like, guys, I'm coming up. We're going to do this like we're 7 years old again. But this time, we had the Union Circle, which is just an incredible implementation of multiplayer in a Pokemon game.
Yeah, you essentially, up to 4 people can jump into the same world and just run around together and catch Pokemon.
No, I was like, it was kind of, it wasn't like Pokemon Go, but it was like similar where like, I don't know if you remember Pokemon Go when it first came out, you'd be walking around the store and people would be like, dude, did you see the Charizard up by the...
how could I forget?
No, it was a lot like that. Like, I would run into a new Pokemon and I'd be like, guys, you got to come over and check this out. And they would like actually see me in the world and come over and check it out. And me and one of my cousins, one of us was a little behind, so we didn't really battle him a ton because it just didn't feel fair. But one of them, we like treated each other like rivals, and we'd battle each other every couple gym leaders. And we were
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and we were just like trading wins on that in a pretty fun way. And our teams were extremely different. We took totally different routes through the game. Like
that's another point I really want to bring up, right? This is the truly like first open world free-form Pokemon game where you can essentially, obviously like some things are gated off by just the level design, like the terrain of the world itself, which is really neat, right? Like I definitely think this game took cues from Breath of the Wild in its exploration and its world.
It certainly tried to.
It tried to, right? It didn't do it quite as well as Breath of the Wild, but I think it's pretty impressive for a Pokemon game, and it's certainly a great first step. Because I can only imagine them iterating on this from here.
It did everything kind of right. Like there were like tiny missteps. Like my friend Kaylee pointed out to me that we do miss out on this game. There's no like interesting areas like the spooky forest in Sword and Shield, and I think that like is really the only thing from past Pokemon games I missed here. Is like areas with
I get what you mean,
unique. And like it had some stuff. Like I remember areas of this game. There's an area, I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but there's an area that I walked into and I was like, oh, I'm in the Altus Plateau from Elden Ring.
No, I didn't get that yet.
Oh yeah,
or maybe I did.
Like down to like the golden trees and everything. I was like, oh, they played Elden Ring.
But we talked about it before, right? Like this trend, I want to say maybe like design philosophy set forth by Breath of the Wild that, we're seeing come up in games like Elden Ring and now even Pokemon, right? And I think it's really exciting because this design philosophy allows for so much flexibility and different ways of like progressing through the game.
No,
I've found myself many points in the game in areas where I definitely should not be. Pokemon were like 10, 15 levels higher than me, and it was a great challenge, right? Like I always complained about Pokemon being too easy, right? Well, I could just tackle things out of order and make it challenging for myself, and that was beautiful, right? Because it wasn't like a difficulty toggle or anything. I could choose to adventure in like unknown lands and I deal with the difficulty.
I saw so many complaints about the gym leaders not scaling to you. And I think that genuinely would have kind of ruined the game if the gym leader scaled, because I was able to like just kind of skip the early gyms until the end of the game.
Yeah, and then you just come back and eradicate them.
Yeah, but I was able to give myself an actually hard game by like actually, setting my difficulty in that way. Like I didn't do I think the bug gym leader is like the easiest one, and I didn't do it until like the very end.
That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, because I just wasn't over there. I didn't go to that area.
So this is the first time Pokemon really adapted. Well, I don't want to say first time, right? Because Legends Arceus also sort of did it, right?
Right.
And you two have played a lot of Legends Arceus, right? And I have not. So maybe you guys can speak on this better. At all? Like barely, like maybe in an hour.
Oh, it's worth playing. It's fun.
It's really good.
Yeah, I plan on getting back to it.
I like Scarlet and Violet more than Legends Arceus, though. For the record.
But what I wanted to point out, right, is like we mentioned that you could tackle gyms in any order, right? But like gyms are only one of the 3 primary sort of objectives in this game, right?
That was a really nice addition.
You have gyms. Yeah. You have these Pokemon called Titans, right? Which are like giant Pokemon that you defeat, and once you defeat them, you get a new ability for your Pokemon companion / vehicle that you use to traverse the world, right? And we could talk about that too. And the third type is like a Team Rocket-esque like base clearing, right? Which I think is the least interesting of the 3, maybe.
Yeah, it also mechanically and writing, because I want to point out the writing around the Titan storyline.
Yeah, it's really good.
I don't know if I'd say really good. It's really good for Pokemon, but it is good.
Yeah. It's all like, that's with a caveat for Pokemon, right?
Yeah, but like I'd maybe tear it up a little bit. Like,
I mean, yeah, if you've got a pet, like you're gonna be feeling that storyline.
Yeah,
right. Like
it's very like I played through the second Titan, and when I saw that cutscene, I was like, oh, we're not doing gyms anymore. Like. I just
you get emotionally involved, which is not a thing that happens in Pokemon.
Yeah, that's
often.
Not ever happened to me in Pokemon before.
No, not at all. And I want to like the scale is right in this game. Like there's no world-ending stuff going on, which like I kind of liked in Ruby and Sapphire when I was a little kid, but like
it's a little cartoonish. No, it's a lot cartoonish.
I'm super like there's no 10-year-old trying to save the world here. You're just a kid going on an adventure, and that adventure like helping your friend do a thing they really want to do.
Yeah, that's true.
Gyms, and like they nailed it.
Yeah, like everything that the protagonist in this game does is stuff that a child would theoretically do, provided that they're allowed to like run around on their own. But like the problems that they're tackling are not like, let's take down a criminal organization, or let's combat climate change. It's let's have some relationships with the kids in our school and like deal with their problems and like go to class, which is actually, I found out you get stuff from going to class. So go to class.
I need to check that out. Cause like, okay, so what I will say, a big negative in this game, for me at least, which is the same negative in pretty much every Pokemon game, is just like the tutorials make me like want to like bash my head against a wall.
Okay,
right?
But not all of us had to play through them 3 times.
Right.
That's true.
So every generation I play through each tutorial 3 times to trade over starters, so I can play through the game with 3 starters, because I guess I'm spoiled and want all 3 and don't want to have to choose one. But
how did you use Pokemon Rank to do that, or did you buy both games?
I used Ranka to do that. I just traded to him and then restarted my game. But so the beginning of the game, was a slog like every Pokemon game is. But then you get to the school, and then it's another half-hour slog of unskippable dialogue. And I was just like, please, God, let this end. The start
didn't bother me that much. Like, the opening was annoying. But then the opening, and then they let you be free for a little bit. And then they hit you with
bring
another
you back to the
30
school.
minutes. Yeah. But then it really
just
opens up. And
it's much more tolerable if you only do it once, though.
Yeah.
Right, of course, yeah. But after the school section, things really open up, and then you're just sort of like, it's just like you're a kid in a candy shop, right? Because like they do the thing where the map is littered with objectives, but like
you can just go run around.
Objectives feel good to do, and you don't have to tackle them in any order.
I spent very little time looking at the map too. Like,
you can just run around, explore, right?
You
can do that thing that you do in exactly.
Yeah, I'd see
you
a
can
town,
do the thing you
check
do
that
in
out.
Breath of the Wild and Elden Ring, where you see something interesting, go over there and check it out.
It's been extremely fun. I don't know if you guys have been doing this, but I'm actually going for the complete Pokedex in this game. There's only 400 nice. Pokemon. I think I'm at 220 right now, ish.
Huh.
And what I will say is there are over 100 new Pokemon, which is a very high number for amount of new Pokemon. They haven't
it's
had
kind of incredible how many there are.
Gen 5, I believe.
I like to do only new Pokemon in my in my playthrough. Yeah. I will say what I think is really funny. My starter, I went with Sprigatito.
Nice.
Nice.
It's just been an absolute background character. Like it's been on the team the whole time, but I never use him at all. He's pretty strong. He's extremely strong.
Yeah.
Like but he's my last resort. The one that I've been using constantly is Armor Rouge. I love Armor Rouge.
Yeah,
Which one is Armor Rouge?
That's the it evolves from like the little fire kid.
Yeah,
okay.
Charcadet.
Yeah, thank you, Charcadet.
Yeah, I have Charcadet. I haven't evolved. Yeah. Apparently, he evolves into 2 very cool forms.
Yeah, and it depends on your version.
Yeah. So I'm playing Scarlet, and I got Armor Rouge. I'm waiting for my cousin
to trade. Is that Fire Psychic?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And it's like a special attacker, and it hits really hard. It's a strong sweeper. It also has a shockingly high defense, which is very nice.
And
Makes sense with the armor thing.
Yeah. They look cool too. They look very cool.
They look like Mega Man Battle Network villains.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm really into it.
Do you guys want to talk about your teams?
Yeah, dude, go.
Yeah, sure. So I mentioned that like I have all 3 starters, but I do try to generally just use my primary starter, which I went with Fuecoco, the little fire crocodile thing. And I must say, I'm very pleased with its final evolution, right? Fire ghost crocodile, and it's not like a biped, which like most final evolutions tend to be, right?
Yeah,
it's like
it actually goes
on
from
all
being
fours,
a biped
it looks,
to being on all fours.
Yeah, right, yeah. It's like monstrous looking, and I'm a big fan.
Cool.
And it's like a singing crocodile too, so it's like weird like that as well. So I'm a fan.
Have you been nicknaming your Pokemon?
I generally don't nickname unless I'm doing a Nuzlocke.
I typically don't either, but I did nickname the first 150 or so I caught in this game. And then I got tired and stuff.
Oh man, that's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of names.
Another mainstay on my team. So I, like, the second Pokemon I caught was a shiny Lechonk. So I evolved that into an Oinkologne, which I don't like Oinkologne as much as Lechonk. Let's just be real here.
No, it doesn't look very good.
Like, Lechonk is like an S tier Pokemon, but Oinkologne, not so much. But, you know, it's a normal type. Like, it hits pretty hard, but, like, it's definitely not like a superstar or anything like that. Let's see here. Who else do I have? I have a dolphin. I forget its name. Ranga, maybe you can remind me.
Oh, it's like Finian or Finison?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet.
So, and apparently it evolves into like this like superhero form or something that has like legendary level stats. Like sometimes, I don't know. It's kind of weird. So I gotta evolve that thing. I also have a new Tentacruel. I'm still bad at remembering names.
Oh, Toad's
you know, Toad's-Cruel. Yeah. Let's see what else. I've got the new Pikachu.
Yeah,
the electric fighting type.
Or have you evolved it all the way up?
Yeah.
The latest evolutions.
Such a pain. Yeah.
Yeah, that was annoying to evolve.
It was extremely annoying.
But he's pretty strong.
He's really strong. I really wanted him off my team after he evolved. Like, I just wanted to get that evolution because I knew it would take forever. But then I saw his stats and I was like, man, he's got to stay.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice
his
typing
signature move too. Revival Blessing.
Yeah, that's a crazy move. That has come in clutch a few times.
I think it's probably going to get banned in competitive, which is a shame. But
yeah, and obviously, so I still like occasionally sub in my my Quaxley and my Sprigatito final evolutions. It's easier to remember the first forms, but
yeah, because
they're very strong, right? So like you said, Connor, they're kind of like reserves that I keep in the background, and I try to rotate in like other Pokemon. I also have a that Fairy Steel type, like that Hammer Pokemon.
Oh yeah, Tinkatuff.
Yeah,
the evolution of Tinkatuff, right? So I have the final form of that, and she's very strong. Yeah, like she has like a really strong steel type move called like Metal Hammer or something, where she just like bashes.
I'm intimately familiar, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, right, same. Yeah. That thing gave me some trouble.
Yeah.
So yeah, big fan of her. I think that's about it, unless I'm forgetting someone. Yeah, in general, that's my team. But I do like to keep a little bit of rotation because, like, obviously, I haven't seen every new Pokemon yet. If I see something cool, I might want to add it to the team. So it's not exactly like fixed as of now, aside from maybe my starter and like maybe a couple others. But like, yeah, I do generally try to keep like a rotation going.
I keep my rotation pretty low until I beat the Elite Four.
Same.
My team, it's Meowscarada, which I nicknamed Sativa.
Nice.
I don't use it a ton, but a Grass Dark is a decent typing. It's so fast. It has
that crazy move that crits every time.
Yeah, it has Flower Trick, I think it's called.
Yeah,
and it crits every single time. And Meowscarada is also extremely fast, so that move has saved me so many times. It comes in very clutch. Very early game, I ran into a shiny Flamigo, which is just a flamingo. I don't know if that'd be... It's a flying fighting, which is an interesting typing. I don't know if that would be a stay on the team if it wasn't shiny, though.
Yeah.
I ran into a shiny... Or more like a shiny Cyclizar ran into me. I didn't even see it, but the battle started and I saw the shiny animation.
Wow.
So that's
crazy.
That's another one lucky. I don't know if I'd keep on the team because I don't love single-stage Pokemon, but...
Same.
I'm not taking a shiny off my team. Clodsire, absolute goat. Love Clodsire. That's the evolution of the new Wooper. And it's just so tanky, and it's a ground poison. And it can tank super effective moves, and I just need that sometimes. So he's a mainstay, and he knows Earthquake, which is pretty good. Armor Rouge, obviously, really just because he looks cool, but he is pretty strong. Fire Psychic, and then Pawmot, which I was going to take off the team because I don't really like the way it looks. But the stats are pretty good, and my team is mostly based around looking cool right now, so I needed some high stat Pokemon.
And a free revive.
Yeah, and a free revive. Yeah, I haven't beaten the Elite Four yet. I actually lost on my first attempt. And
so Ranga is the furthest in this game out of the three of us.
You've beaten the Elite Four, Ranga?
Yeah, I beat the Elite Four, so I am now champion ranked. Nice. But there's still some more content I need to do afterwards.
Yeah.
So for context, I have around, I think, 5 gym badges, and I just finished the last Titan.
Yeah, I've finished all the Titans and all the gyms. I am, like, standing outside of the last Team Star base, I think.
Interesting. So you took on the Elite Four before finishing off the Team Star stuff.
Yeah, I don't like the Team Star stuff very much. I actually just wasn't going to do it, but I needed
It's definitely like the weakest of the 3 main pillars of this game.
I mean, there's got to be a worst one, right?
Yeah, I figured it would level me up easy, though. I'm trying to avoid using, like, EXP candy.
Oh, I stuff that stuff down my Pokemon's throats.
I use those for lower level guys to bring them up to speed pretty quickly.
I use it to evolve stuff to complete my Pokedex, but other than that, I don't really use it. I'm going to use a lot of it in the post game because I have a lot of Pokemon I need to evolve. But I was just kind of waiting to unlock the 5-star Terra Raid battle so that I can get a bunch of like the nice candy.
That's true. You do get a whole bunch of candy when you do those. Yeah. So my team is so I picked Quaxley. So I've got my Quackquavel. Oh, nice. Yeah. I have eggs of the other 2, but they've just been chilling in my bank. I'll evolve them for Dex purposes later, and I might be using them like post game stuff. But I played through with just the 1 starter, and I didn't use only Gen 9 Pokemon, but I did only use Pokemon that I hadn't used before on a playthrough. Yeah. So I had a Talonflame on my team, which was cool, just because I never got to use it, and I thought it was really cool. And I know it's like an older Pokemon, but I don't care. And then I had I had a whole bunch of birds for a while, because I had a Corviknight and a Talonflame and a Quackquavel for a while.
So cool.
Yeah, I just had
sick.
Mad birds, and I never played Sword and Shield, so that was a brand new Pokemon to me, effectively. And then I had the Olive Pokemon. Starts out as a Smoliv, but it's like a really good special attacker once it evolves. Really? So yeah, I had that one on there. It's got good stats. And then let's see, what else did I have? I had the Rock Salt Pokemon, the Garganical.
Yeah, is that supposed to be pronounced like Knackley or something? Like
I know
that it's
like NaCl.
It's a pun on sodium chloride, but
yeah,
that's what I've been saying, Knackley. Yeah. And then I found what I think is the game's pseudo legendary
Ice Dragon thing.
Yeah, the Ice Dragon thing.
Yeah, that thing's tough to beat. My cousin has one.
Yeah, I like it. It's just super cool. And then let's see what else. I need like a psychic type. I had that ostrich, and then I just got bored of it, got rid of it. but it's pretty good. Man,
more birds.
More birds. Yeah, that's the thing. I would have been up to like 6 birds.
No, I was really heavy on fighting types for a long time, and then I didn't.
Yeah, I had the fighting starter, so I didn't really think about picking up any.
Yeah, Quaxley was my second pick for starter, but I love the Weed Cat.
The Weed Cat's pretty cool. I just couldn't turn down how cool
having played with the 3 of them, I'm pretty sure Sprigatito is like the best one. Like his final form is just
it's pretty good.
Strong.
It's really strong. I will say at the beginning of the game though, you're staring down the barrel. The closest 2 gyms that you can fight are Bug, absolutely not, and Grass. Okay, well I guess I have to.
Yeah, that's kind of a neat inversion, right? Because generally the Grass Pokemon has the easiest time with the first gyms in most Pokemon games, but not this time around.
No, it's like Gen 2.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place in this one.
True.
But I'm kind of curious. So Ranga, what was the last Pokemon game you played before this? But not counting Arceus, like the mainline games.
So that's kind of weird. I really fell off hard after Gen 4. I think I remember playing White version, but I didn't really get super into it. I just sort of played through it because I felt like I had to. And then there was a long time when I just didn't. I was a filthy Gen 1er, and I was I would play Fire Red and Emerald, and that was it. And then I recently picked up my 3DS and played Pokemon Y, just because I felt like I needed to get back into Pokemon before playing Legends Arceus. I felt like I wanted to play Arceus, but I wanted to have a recent experience with a mainline Pokemon game because that just sort of felt right to get me back into that. And I played that, and then I played Shining Pearl, which was fine.
Did you like Y?
Yes, I did. It was very easy,
and
the plot was nonsensical, but I just like Mega Evolution. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I like Y.
Okay, so in effect, you missed only 2 Pokemon generations.
Yeah, I missed 7 and 8. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know. I was just curious to get. Especially from your perspective, right? Now that you're back into Pokemon,
no.
And plus
7 and 8, didn't you? Oh no, because you did go back and play Y. So you missed Sun and Moon, and you missed Sword and Shield.
Yep.
Okay.
And I played the remake in Gen 8. Technically, I played Shining Pearl, but
yeah, but it's too close of a remake for that to really
exactly. Yeah, it didn't have any Dynamax anything. So I didn't get the Dynamax.
You must have been inundated with even more. New Pokemon.
Yeah. Everything after Gen 6 was new to me, effectively.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
There were a few things I encountered in Arceus, but other than that, I was what's that thing?
You missed out on some very cool regional variants in those 2 games, though.
True. But now it was really, really refreshing to come back to all new, effectively almost all new Pokemon and a completely new play style. And funny enough, I played Arceus as a warm up primer to that. So that was also my first open world game in a long time. So I really felt like I had a lot of games preparing me for Scarlet and Violet, which really enhanced the experience a lot. And yeah, I've been grinding that game hard.
Yeah, Scarlet and Violet has actually made me kind of want to revisit Legends Arceus, honestly.
Yeah,
especially me, right? Because I haven't even really played it yet. So
there are a few things Legends Arceus gets really right that Scarlet and Violet doesn't, and that's
what I hear.
That's a shame. The battles in Legends Arceus, you probably remember me talking about this on the podcast, but the battles in Legend Arceus are so fast; they're lightning quick, and they're quicker than they used to be in Scarlet and Violet. But they could be better, definitely. There's weird pauses all the time during battles for no reason. And
that is true. I think what Scarlet and Violet tried to do was sort of average out all the good parts of the franchise into one game. You guys were talking about how the exploratory mechanics of Pokemon Go, where you're walking around with your buddies and you see something cool and you call them over to also see something cool. They tried to incorporate that with the Union Circle. They tried to have the open world feel of Arceus and having ride Pokemon sort of optimized better than Arceus by having all of them. All the mounts that you have in Arceus are combined into your legendary motorcycle Pokemon, but they also sort of have to be a main series Pokemon game, so the battles feel a little bit more draggy than they can in Arceus, where you have more options and they sort of expanded the system.
Yeah, I don't think the changes to like the battle system they made in Arceus are what made it feel so much quicker though. Like the animations were just snappier.
That's true. That's true.
There was no waiting, and that's what I want. I like the changes to the battles in Arceus, but you're right. This was a mainline Pokemon game. I just wish I think the best possible Pokemon game sits somewhere between Legends Arceus and Scarlet and Violet, and the quicker battles are.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
And I'm so afraid. Because Game Freak has such a strong tendency to just throw away everything before they
start over,
game. And if they would just keep like
so like if you think about it, right? Like Arceus and Scarlet Violet were all this year, which is crazy, right? And I think this is
they were in development at the same time, so like Scarlet and Violet couldn't learn anything from Legends Arceus.
But really. I do think this is their first. This is basically like the transition from like the 2D games to the 3D games. I think this is another level of jump like that, where they're saying that this is what Pokemon is now.
What I'm really afraid of, though, these are like critically and among fans, I think the lowest rated Pokemon games of all time.
Yeah, that's crazy to me, right? Like, and I think it's because
they are wrong.
Like the performance issues.
It is because of the performance. It's everybody's grading them very poorly because of the performance.
I don't know, like.
And I think
this opens up a bigger discussion about like how you review a video game, but like I don't like aggregate like every single thing and then score after that, right? It's like how you make it
feel.
Exactly. How do you feel at
experience.
the end, right? And if like the experience
I'm about to drop
if the experience is so good that the technical issues don't even matter, then like it's a great game, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm about to drop a take people aren't ready to hear. The performance issues in Scarlet and Violet are significantly less severe than the performance issues in the PC port of Elden Ring. Significantly less severe.
So what I will say is that all those crazy clips and stuff I've seen on Twitter, nothing like that has happened in my game.
Yeah, well, because what's going to blow up on Twitter is the stuff that is sensationally bad, right?
Yeah. No, those people are definitely running their Switch under a blanket.
But also, I will say, I'm curious what you guys are doing. I have not like played this docked almost like ever, right? Like I'm always in a handheld mode.
It's better handheld. I've played it docked for the big stuff.
The big
that I would
stuff.
want on a TV. Like when I would battle my cousins, I would put that on a TV because it looked nice, and I knew it was going to run well because it's just a battle. And like the Pokemon League, I wanted to do on my TV, but like the moment to moment gameplay, I play handheld because it runs better. I also have restarted my Switch every couple hours, which I swear this game has a memory leak.
I think it does.
Better.
It does.
Every once in a while, and that's very patchable. Which is nice.
Still no patch yet since release, or like I haven't noticed one if it has come out.
Yeah,
but
I want to say like there are a lot of people throwing around the word unplayable to the performance.
That's an exaggeration.
Yeah, it's
objectively wrong. Like those people clearly never tried to run MMOs on their family computer. Yeah. Like. In the early 2000s, like, unplayable is like when I would walk into a loading zone and I would get up and I would go eat dinner and I'd come back and the loading zone hadn't finished yet. Like, unplayable was when I fell into the water in a game and because I had an outdated graphics card, I couldn't see anymore. My screen just turned blue when there was supposed to be transparency. Like, there's nothing unplayable. Like, a turn-based RPG has to be so bad for it to be unplayable. And Pokemon Scarlet, 99% of the time, isn't anywhere near unplayable. Now, I got very frustrated one time. I was in the middle of a lake, and a lot of Pokemon spawned around me, and it was, like, really choppy, and I accidentally ran into one, which started a battle, and I was, like, thinking I was going to be in this battle for a long time, because the game was running so slow. And that was egregious, but, like, I got out of it. Like, it was just annoying. It didn't ruin the game for me.
Yeah, I haven't had anything that was like even approaching game ruining. Like nothing that I would call unplayable. The worst things I've had would be like a couple of like textures wouldn't render right, or you would just look like you're riding around on an invisible motorcycle for a second, and then you change your camera angle and it's fixed.
Yeah. Like now, is it unacceptable from the highest grossing media franchise in the world? Yeah, probably, but it doesn't ruin the game. The game is still so fun that I think I would still recommend.
Yeah, I remember
like in this case, right? Like,
fun.
Sorry, go ahead, Ranga.
Oh, I was going to say, I remember like looking at the initial reviews before getting it and seeing the spread being so mixed, and A lot of them would say performance issues. Very, very few, if any, of the reviews criticism were about gameplay, right? And then I looked up at the very, very top, and there were still perfect reviews coming out, 100%. Despite saying, there's a lot of performance issues. The game looks kind of bad sometimes. But this is still the most fun I've had in a Pokemon game in a long time. And I've heard so many people who have said that. I think that really speaks a lot to like the heart and soul of the game, right? The actual experience that you have playing it.
Yeah, it's got heart. Like, it doesn't feel like lazy in the way that Sword and Shield sometimes did. Like, it really feels like...
And BDSP always did.
That they could. Yeah. Yeah. It does, like, I don't know, you can really clearly see the rushed development in Scarlet and Violet. There are a lot of rooms where there will just be a Pokeball sitting in the middle of the room for no reason. I've seen it a few times throughout the game. There's one in the opening house. There's one like sticking out of the door. I actually had one appear in one of the Terror Raid battles, I think. I had one in a fairly story significant cave. And these are like, from what I've heard, they're reference markers that developers use to scale everything.
Wow.
They just didn't take them out.
They're supposed to be removed before the game comes out.
Wow, I didn't even notice
that. And they just never got removed.
That's crazy.
And yeah, they stick out like a sore thumb once you see them. It looks really bad. But yeah, so this game just clearly like, and that's something that would take 10 seconds to remove, and they didn't have time to do it. So stuff like that makes me think that maybe there were like significant changes made at the last second that meant that they did not have time to optimize this game, because that optimization tends to be towards the end. And there's also just a lot of stuff that's just not true that I keep seeing. Like I see people saying like, oh, the game runs bad because it loads in the entire open world at once instead of chunks.
No way
and,
that's true.
No, there's no way. The Switch doesn't have enough RAM for that. The game wouldn't even launch. Like, that's just an insane... And like, I hate to say it, you can see that it doesn't do that because the game has a pretty significant pop-in problem. Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, these people are just wrong, and they're just spouting stuff on Twitter and getting 100,000 retweets. And that's more of a Twitter problem than a Pokemon problem, but it annoys me.
Yeah, I mean, I think where I come down on this is that, like, yeah, sure, there are performance issues, like, more egregious than any other Pokemon game, but at the same time...
I'm surprised Nintendo didn't, like, throw a fit about it, honestly. It makes
I'm not surprised, and the reason I'm not surprised is because it's Pokemon, right? They know Pokemon. This was the most pre-ordered Pokemon game of all time. Right, so like this, it doesn't matter. The performance issues don't matter, for better or for worse, right? Like, Game Freak can release another game like this, and we will all eat it up, myself included, right?
Oh, I'd buy it. Yeah, I would buy... No, I mean, like, you could take me back knowing everything I know about this game, and I would still spend $60 on it, because it was
where I was
so
getting
fun.
at, right? Like, the positives so heavily outweigh the negatives, right? Because this really is the next step in Pokemon that I feel like I've been waiting for, right? Like, this...
Yeah. The same thing I said about Elden Ring earlier this year. Like, it was so good.
Yeah, you see Pokemon,
that I played through
right?
It despite the issues.
Obviously, it's still a little basic, right? But you see Pokemon just chilling in the overworld. You can just walk up to one. It doesn't cut to a different, like, arena for the battle, right? You just throw out your Pokemon in the overworld. They battle, right? And then you can catch it all in the overworld, right? That's so good for immersion,
and they're not just hanging
right?
in the open world. Like, they
run around. Like, they like go in groups.
Yeah.
Slackoth hang from trees. Yeah, they like chase each other around.
But like this framework is what I've always wanted Pokemon to be, right? Like the world and the Pokemon and the adventure all integrated into one awesome package, right? And like this
and the people that are
this is it, right? And it's only going to get better from here, presumably.
The people that are obsessed with having their Pokemon follow them around too have the best version of that
you can
in this
do
game with the Let's Go mode. You can actually like send out your Pokemon to go do some stuff.
Yeah, go gather resources, auto battle, get like 1 XP per battle. But and it's not about the XP, it's about the stuff you get too, and it's just sort of nice to see him running around.
No, and if you do it like the shiny hunting in this game is going to be so easy because you can just send out your Let's Go Pokemon. They don't burn PP in that mode, so you don't have to worry about that. And you just let them go until you see a shiny.
Yeah, one thing I would be interested to see metric-wise is sales numbers after release. Because, a lot of people pre-ordered it, obviously. But I wonder how many people there are out there who are maybe more casual Pokemon fans who were thinking about buying the game, were on the fence about it, saw the performance reviews, or the reviews that
honestly,
tank.
I think it's the opposite. I think there's positive word of mouth about this game, right? Like in non-critic circles.
I don't, because everybody I know that hasn't bought it yet, like everybody I know that's not played it is like, before I talked to them, they were saying like, I don't think I'm going to get it. The performance is so bad.
Yeah, I think we
know people like that too, and we've convinced them to buy it, right?
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying, we convinced some of them too. But like, I think that the Twitter outrage is immediately a lot stronger, and like takes talking out of. So if you're just like a guy, and maybe you don't have a bunch of friends who play Pokemon. Right, I don't know how big of a percentage of sales that actually is. Right, just like the lone Pokemon players who don't talk to other Pokemon players.
I am curious, right? Because like the people who actually play this game that aren't critics, like everyone's opinions have been similar to ours, right? They're like, oh my gosh, this is an addicting new way to play Pokemon, right?
For sure.
And I think that word of mouth versus the Twitter word of mouth, it's interesting to see which one will be more relevant, but. Like, I don't know. Like, I get the feeling this is going to be, like, the best-selling Pokemon game of all time. Like, I think it's on trajectory to do that.
Every Pokemon game is
I think that's
actually not true. Some generations do better than others, right? Sword and Shield was huge, but...
I sincerely hope that this one is the next... Because, I mean, it's like... It's almost like a soft reboot. Like, they even did Scarlet and Violet, which is just another word for red and blue. Yeah. Like... They felt like a soft reboot for the franchise, and they got everything right in this game other than performance. Like, it's just, I love it. I couldn't recommend it enough to.
And they've tried to do a reboot effectively a lot of times, and it hasn't felt like a reboot. It just feels like the next one. Ruby and Sapphire too was supposed to be like a reboot. Another red and blue. But I think this is the best iteration of that.
This is actually distinctly different. This is an evolution.
I also I want to talk about Nimona for a second, because I've always hated the rival.
I like this rival.
I love Nimona. She's not as good maybe as the rivals that are mean to you, but it's the first rival that is nice to you that that works for me. Also, she is going to give a lot of children.
Okay, ignoring that. But it's interesting because she is a champion, right? And she is basically watching you develop and helping you become more powerful throughout the game, right? And I assume this results in some climactic battle at the end, right? I haven't got there yet, but
the scaling stuff that people complained about the game not having, Nimona actually does have. She you battle her after gyms typically, and she scales to how many badges you have, and I think that's very cool. Yeah. And that's her, that's even in universe. She's saying oh, you have this many badges. I should probably only use these Pokemon because you're not ready for
my headcanon of Pokemon gym leaders in universe is that they would do that too, right? Yeah. You lived in Fuchsia City and that's your first gym. Koga's not going to use his ace on you, right? But obviously for the the linear progression of a Pokemon game at that time, that's not what happened. And also for people who maybe criticize the game to say, oh, I don't know where to go. The scaling is weird. It's there's a mechanic built in. They don't really throw it around very much. But if you go to a Pokemon Center and you say there's a choice in the dialogue, I don't know where to go, it'll suggest something that's at your level, or at least rather the next theoretical thing you're supposed to do in one of the three main stories.
The map also tells you, at least for the first couple gyms, I stopped looking at the map very early, but the first couple of gyms, it would say, hey, a lot of people...
it gives a description and says, this is one of the most challenging gym leaders, or this is one of the... this is a good entry point.
Yeah. And, a lot of people are complaining about the level scaling.
They just don't read.
Again, I gotta bring up Elden Ring, which is a game that was as good as it was in large part because it didn't do level scaling.
Yeah, there's some areas in the game where you should not be when you first set off, right? You could set your foot in there.
That's fine.
If you're looking for an insane challenge, but
Oh, I did. I caught a level 50 Scyther when my highest level Pokemon was level 30.
Oh man, yeah.
And the game didn't stop me. But and I didn't use it because obviously, one, I don't think I could. I didn't have enough badges to control it. But it still let me catch it, which is nice. And I also, that would have made the game not very fun.
Yeah.
To just have a level 50
steamroll everything.
To clear everything out for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's also, I think in a game like Elden Ring or any of the Souls games, you expect to lose, right? You expect to get wrecked by NPCs all the time. But in Pokemon games, I think people have often gotten accustomed to just playing through it and winning all the time. So like it stings more when you lose a Pokemon battle.
Which is why I was so shocked I didn't beat the
Right, exactly. Yeah. So it's like in this game,
they were much higher level.
If you go into the wrong area and you're not prepared for a challenge, like you'll lose. And then you have to either try that again or go somewhere else. And like that's a very common like direction, like a way of like shoehorning you into different areas of a game in like other open world games. But for whatever reason, people get upset in Pokemon when Pokemon does it.
Yeah. But I think it works here as well as it does in those places. Like I think they're doing it right.
And I do really like that. Like you mentioned, right? Like the game kind of like shows you like, hey, you're not ready to be here. And like I've been caught unawares before where like, for example, when I was going to get the final Titan, right? Like I was in that Dragon Lake area. All these Pokemon were higher level than mine, fine, right? But I realized like, hey, I'm not catching these things. I need to go back and prepare. So I went back, bought potions, bought revives, bought dive balls, right? A very specific tool to like tackle that area. And I came back and I was able to manage it better. And I just really enjoyed that because it felt like I actually had to prepare for that specific like segment of my adventure. And this game does that like all the time, right? Like it's like an adventure, right? It's open-ended. It's not linear like every other Pokemon game, right? It requires preparation and exploration, right? And I those are some of my favorite things in video games. So I very much appreciate it.
Yeah, this game like makes you try in a way that a lot of other main series Pokemon games really don't.
Or at least welcomes you.
True. Yeah. It gives you the option to instead of just doing everything neatly in order, you can go and like jump a few steps.
Yeah, I saw so many people complaining that they like had to figure out where to go.
Yeah, a lot of people. So a lot of people don't.
That was what I liked.
A lot of people don't like that, and I will say, like Ranga mentioned, right? You could very, feasibly after every encounter go to the Pokemon Center. Where do I go next? Right. So they have a linear path laid out for you if you want that, right? But I will say you're going to be missing out on like real fun gameplay if you do that.
Yeah.
But if that is what you prefer, that is an option.
But you can't complain about not knowing where to go and then also claim to want an open world game. I think those two things conflict with each other a lot.
Yeah. I think that the game encourages in a way that I didn't expect you to play a hard version of the game. Cause like the proper gym order has you going like the proper as in, I think the easiest is the bug gym. Then the second easiest is the grass gym. They have you going in two opposite directions, which I was just not going to do. I went in one direction and I kept going until I couldn't go that way anymore. And that gave me a challenge gym leader wise. Whereas the proper way would be to ping pong, I think.
I absolutely had an encounter where I was like, I ran into this gym, right? Like, and the Pokemon were like 10 levels higher than me, and I actually was challenged.
Yeah.
And it was a fun fight, right? And I beat that gym.
That was my experience with the electric gym.
I think that was my experience with the normal type gym.
Oh, I love
that guy was
dude
funny.
Too.
Yeah.
Larry, yeah.
That's one of my favorite characters.
Back, right? Like, I went back and explored a little more, found another gym in which I was like 10 levels higher than everything, and I just obliterated it. I was like, this is really cool, right? Because I just happened to not find this one yet, right? Like, I love the open-ended nature of that.
The gym challenges should go. I hated every single gym challenge. That was just annoying. It also like kind of accentuated the
some
worst
of them
part
were a
to
lot better than others. Like the finding the sunflowers one, I was just like, please.
Yeah, sometimes they just feel like a song and dance.
The Sunflora one was bad because it was like the game already runs bad. Now I have to put 10 Pokemon on my screen to make it run even worse. And like being in the towns, which is where the performance tended to be the worst anyway. I just didn't want to spend any time in the towns. Really.
The Larry one was actually pretty good. Like I liked finding out the secret recipe or whatever. But
yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
There was one hint that really threw me off, the one about the ice cream stands.
Yeah. Where you have to like actually look at the menus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for the most part,
they're not
they
great.
Were not.
Yeah, but like,
especially the later ones. The later ones.
Yeah, I think that's just like a Pokemon tradition at some point. At this point, right? So I don't know if they're.
Yeah.
Maybe they could find a way to spin it in an interesting way.
Maybe this comes up later than I am in the game, but something that Sword and Shield kind of got right that I wish this had is that I love a Pokemon battle in front of an audience.
Yes, so much.
Like just the
giant scope is cool.
And that just doesn't come
That
up.
was the highlight of Sword and Shield. The gym battles felt like freaking events, like sporting events, right?
Yeah.
Like you're in this giant stadium with like thousands of people watching and cheering. Like it felt epic. And the Elite Four was like that as well, and the Champion Battle too in Sword and Shield. So
I didn't get that.
Well, I don't know. Okay, so maybe that fits a little bit more with like the school theme of the game. I agree. I think that I didn't play Sword and Shield, but I saw like the footage of gym battles, and it's like the World Cup.
Yeah, it was like
right?
an athletic.
Whereas
yes,
but I think it should be somewhere in the game. It doesn't. I don't need it to be the gym leaders, but like I would like it. Like you don't get to pick your arena for the online battles, for instance. That would be huge for me to just have a selection of arenas, and some of them have like a huge audience or something.
Well, I guess in a sense, like when you're completing the gym challenges and then like taking on the Elite Four, like that's literally your homework. You know, like you're just going to school.
Yeah, it's a personal journey
it's not the World Cup; it's backyard soccer, and it's like when you're fighting the Elite Four, they're like your teachers at the school. Like that's like a very, very, very small spoiler, but it's like. It's not a world-shattering event, just like the Evil Team isn't a world-shattering event. It's all scaled down for like an actual child.
Yeah, like the Evil Team are bullies at your school, so...
Yeah. By the way, I know we talked about the Evil Team like storyline being a little bit weaker. I will say it gets better once you like beat all the bases. The bases are weak and like they're so copy-paste formulaic, but like... after you wrap up the first 5, the storyline does get a little cooler. Like the cutscenes.
I hear there's a twist that's pretty good that I haven't seen yet. So I'm excited for that. I'll probably see that tonight.
So as far as the school content goes, like, is it actually good? Like, I'm genuinely asking.
So
because like I've seen some people say online that it's like really good slice of life stuff, and I'm like, so my bar is like Persona 5, right? That's like the best slice of life content ever made.
Yeah, I think you're going to set yourself up to be disappointed if you set the bar too high for it, but it's not worth skipping, I think. You do get some nice rewards that are going to be good, and also you do get some nice information about stuff that you would probably miss in the world if you didn't go to class.
So like, does the game like ever direct you to go to class, or do you just like...
No, you just have to go do it.
It tells you.
It does say that. Oh yeah, you have new classes. But like, I just took my art final yesterday, which is not a thing I would think I would say in Pokemon ever. But really you get directions like in the classes. Like, oh yeah, if you want to go change your Pokemon's Terra type, you can go to XYZ location and do that.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's valuable. I knew about that already, but that's. I wonder if they tell you how to evolve some of the harder.
I think they probably do,
because that's always been something that really annoys me in Pokemon, is that there is knowledge that is just unattainable in the game. You basically need to talk to the community, which I think they want you to do.
I mean, some of it is hidden behind like a line of dialogue in this NPC in some remote town, right? like that's like
having it at the
but like some of it's trial and error too.
Older Pokemon games, I really felt compelled to talk to everyone, because like there were interesting little stories happening in the town. Some NPCs had interesting things to say. And I'd remember, like, I'd enter every little house and talk to everyone every time I played a Pokemon game. This game, not so much, right? Like, maybe a little...
Well, there's no house you can enter.
A little bit of that has been lost, maybe. Maybe an area to improve in the sequel, but... Yeah, like, I do feel like, all the towns kind of feel samey to me. Like, there's no character to the town.
Well, I don't think that's fair. I think aesthetically the towns are good. But you don't want to be
there. There's just nothing in them.
The performances at its
and there's not as much content in the buildings as there is in the outside world.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where, it's not so much that I didn't want to be in the towns, it's that I wanted to be out in the wilderness catching Pokemon
the map of this game, the world is very much one of the stars.
It's just fun to explore.
Yeah.
There is, like, in my experience, maybe this gets better in the post-game or something, but I have found a couple of areas that are, like I climbed up a mountain, I found this serene little lake at the top, and I'm thinking, like, man, in Diamond or Pearl, like, Mesprit, Azelf, or Uxie would be here, and there's not something here right now. Maybe in the post-game, I can't say yet whether or not that'll happen, but I found empty little caverns, and I'm
I don't want to spoil too much about since I'm starting to get to that post-game content, but...
so... If something is there in the post game, that will make me very happy, because I would gladly re-explore every inch of this. Well,
that's also something they talk about in school. Funny enough, go to class, you delinquents. Really? They talk about like some of like the geography of the region and like some of the natural landmarks, and that's something I'm not to yet in the post game. Like I really what I'm at is the end game, not the post game, because once you complete all the 3 like major things like the Titan, the Team Star, and the Gym Elite Four challenges, then you get like the actual true ending, which is like you going
cool
and doing stuff. And another thing I don't think we've talked about is the professor and how you don't meet them in the game. Like for the majority of the main game,
they're like busy in the crater, right?
Yeah.
Whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm. So like you don't talk to them while you're getting the gym battles. You don't get your Pokemon from them. You don't interact with them directly. Like you just sort of call them on your phone a little bit. Like whenever you get like a Titan battle done, but
right, yeah.
But at the end game, like that starts to play out a little bit more with the crater and stuff, which is like this big area of mystery. So obviously you're going to go in there at some point. But it's neat the amount of restraint that they have with those characters.
I also really like the idea of the crater, right? Like this mysterious thing at the center of the map that you don't get to explore until the end, right? Like,
this is like a super minor spoiler, but one of the Titans escaped from the crater, and I thought that was really cool. Like a cool teaser of the later
right.
Of the game.
The game definitely foreshadows that things are really kind of mysterious and dangerous in the crater, and that really makes me want to check it out. You know?
Yeah.
I saw some footage of the inside of the crater, very little, but I was watching a streamer, and I actually really like the way the inside of the crater looks.
I just got into the crater this morning.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see it. That's why I was wanting to beat the Pokemon League, and then I know that that's not how you get there, or at least I don't think it is, but I'm not ready for the fight that I have to do to get there.
I am not ready either. Yeah, I literally that's the last thing I tried before I came here. And granted, remember, I have 5 gym badges, so he just annihilated me.
Yeah, he smoked you.
Definitely not ready for that. But then, that's another thing. The game's telling me hey,
go do other stuff.
If you really want to brute force this, maybe you can if you have enough revives or hyper potions and set up your team right. Or you could come back later.
Literally, I'm going to battle you to test if you're ready for this, right? And in any other Pokemon game, that's a joke.
No, yeah, this was legit.
It's serious
here. He's saying you're not ready. Yeah, you're not ready for this.
No, I love that. There's consequence in this Pokemon game, which I don't think there was in most other Pokemon games, right? There's when the game says something, it means it, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but I really believe that to be the case, right? Previous Pokemon games, a lot of the dialogue was just fluff. And you just went ahead and steamrolled through it, but not the case in this one.
Yeah. God, I want to play.
Yeah, I want to play.
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I'm probably gonna play it some more after I finish up here.
So, have you guys done any multiplayer battling?
No,
we've done some. We've done some Union stuff, but
yeah, but the Terra raid battles are fine. They're exactly like the Dynamax raids in
Oh yeah, we did a couple of those.
But I actually
we never talked about the terastallization mechanic.
Well, yeah, let me talk multiplayer a minute, because I think they did a really good thing with this that I don't know that Sword and Shield did. You can register multiple teams. I think you can have 5 different teams pre-made to use for battles. And you can just use whatever your current team is as well. And I think you can also, if you're in a Union circle, you can borrow other people's teams.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that. That's cool.
I think, if I understood the UI correctly, you could do that. And that is extremely interesting to me, because it's just a cool mechanic, being able to swap out Pokemon or see an interesting team you want to try out and try it. I think that's really fun. I've been having a lot of fun with the multiplayer battles. The multiplayer is a little clunky, but I was just shocked that the Union Circle lets you play the entire game. I was expecting an Animal Crossing style thing where we'd have to stay in the same area and you could catch Pokemon, but you couldn't do story progress.
Oh yeah, you just get notifications, right? When your friend catches something or evolves something, it's neat.
Yeah, it's just playing in a chat party with somebody.
The only thing I would change is there's no voice chat in the game, which is kind of weird considering Nintendo Online has that on the app. At least I don't think there is. I guess I didn't check the app, but I don't think there is. And then I also I wish I could walk up to somebody and press a button to initiate a battle.
Yes,
currently you
so
have to
much
go through menus to do it.
I was shocked that was not in the game.
It feels like the most intuitive thing that you could do, right?
Yeah. Or a trade.
Exactly. Yeah. You click on something, little menu pops up. You can battle or trade right from there. That's
or bare minimum, you click on somebody,
but it'd be such a huge quality of life bump.
Or bare minimum, you go up to somebody, click on them, and it opens up the Union Circle menu, so you can then do all those things from there.
Yeah,
even that.
Also, there's a little bit of clunk. You can't if you have two people playing, a third person can't join.
That was annoying.
Yeah.
It's extremely forgivable when games like Animal Crossing were coming out only 2 years ago. On Nintendo, and got the multiplayer wrong.
Not to
step
be
of the way.
Insulting or whatever, but I chalk these up to like Nintendo-isms, right? Like things that seem like intuitive gimmies that Nintendo just doesn't do for whatever reason. Whether the reason be technical.
Yeah, no,
or
it honestly is remarkable. It's remarkable it works as well as it does, considering it's on the Nintendo Switch. And I didn't notice multiplayer affecting performance at all, for what it's worth. Not that the performance was great to begin with, but I didn't notice any reason not to play this game multiplayer the entire way.
Yeah, I mean, like,
if you want
I
to.
guess suggestions for improvement, right? Like that feature you suggested where you could trade or battle, obviously that's a gimme. It'd be sick if you could actually see your friends, like, battling too, right?
You can.
No, you can't.
If you're standing close enough to them, you see
Okay,
them
we definitely did not see.
Yeah,
them.
in our experience, we just saw them like standing.
Yeah.
Oh no, for me, I walked over, I could see the wild Pokemon. I didn't see the flashier animations, but I could see like them running at each other. I could tell.
What? Really?
Yeah, some of the particles and stuff didn't show. Yeah,
That's wild.
I could tell what was going on. I could tell what Pokemon my friend had out.
That's so weird. I wonder why that was. Because like every
battling.
time we tried, like the other person.
Oh, was this against a trainer or a wild Pokemon?
Both, I think.
Yeah, both.
Okay, because again, this was against a wild Pokemon where I saw everything. Maybe because I was already close when the battle started.
Maybe, right?
I
Like,
don't know.
yeah, every time we tried, the other person would just stand there with like dots over their head.
No, I could see what was going on because I tested that. I thought it was cool that it worked.
Interesting.
That way.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take another look at that then.
Yeah. Also, this is gonna have ranked multiplayer.
No way.
Oh,
Really?
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's called Stadium Battles. It's not in the game yet.
Ranked multiplayer.
If you click on it, it's just a placeholder. Yeah, but it's gonna have skill-based matchmaking, ranked multiplayer.
You know, that makes a lot of sense considering, you know, the biggest, like, the gimmick of this generation, the terastallization, which we haven't really talked about yet. That adds like a lot of depth to battling. Yeah, I also don't, because you don't really need it in the main story, and it's not always.
So I have a question. If you terastallize to the same type, do you get additional like stab bonus? Okay, good.
Yeah, higher stab damage, but you lose your secondary type.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so but you keep your original stab bonuses too.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a neat idea on paper, but execution, it just doesn't seem that relevant to me. Maybe at higher levels of battle, it could be.
I will say, being able to terastallize to grass as my Meowscarada or whatever.
Meowscarada, yeah.
Anyway, its name is but being able to terastallize to grass and get that huge stab damage on a move that crits every single
and
time
already has like high
that
base
kind
attack
of speed. Yeah, so even if it's not very effective, I am often getting like a one-hit KO from that. And that's huge. But then there's also, you can change the Terra type. So I could like change my Terra type to water or something on him, and suddenly he can't be hit by
fire type.
I think it'll be more of an impactful mechanic in a competitive sense. Once you have teams where every Pokemon has a Terra type that you chose on purpose for like either an offensive or defensive reason. But now when you're just sort of playing through with like random Terra type normal Pokemon, that it's just like there's no point in terastallizing.
I'll also say some of the gym Terra types were really funny. Like the grass gym leader. This was in a trailer, so I don't feel bad for spoiling it. The grass gym leader throws out a Sudowoodo and terastallizes it to the grass type.
Yeah. That was
that's kind of the gimmick of the gym leaders in this game, right? Like their last Pokemon or whatever is a Pokemon that is a different type from the type of the gym, right? But like they terastallize it to they turn it into like the proper type.
The electric gym had a Pokemon who had it was flying, or it was immune to ground type moves, I think. And that like threw me off a little bit because I'd been using ground type moves to sweep them. I guess they could have had like a Magneton or something with levitate, but the terastallization was a more interesting way to get that.
But yeah, like when I look at terastallization and like compare it to the previous gimmicks, I don't know, like the Sword and Shield gimmick of Dynamax was kind of stupid, but at least it looked cool.
It did, yeah. Terastallization actually looks bad. It actually makes the battles look worse. I think all of them are ugly.
Yeah, so when a Pokemon terastallizes, they like become covered in like crystal, and there's like this weird like
they get
design
a weird
based off the typing, right? Like on top of them, and it just looks kind of awkward.
Yeah,
but
it definitely. I mean, Mega Evolutions.
They were the good
only
ones.
that
Yeah,
have been
Mega
good.
Evolutions was the good gimmick.
Yeah, I think each
I
mechanic has been like sort of on a scale and like appeals to fans versus appeals to competitive. And Dynamax
This
was
one
for
will definitely.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, so like Dynamax was like cool for competitive because like any Pokemon could Dynamax, but it also looked really cool. This one is competitive heavy.
Yeah.
Whereas
for
Mega
sure.
Evolution was casual heavy, right? Megas were like not great for competitive.
Once I saw this, I was just going to be like, yeah, like this is going to open up levels on the competitive scene that are like that haven't been seen yet, right? Because like there's another layer of depth being added here, right? Or like
no, because normally when you have a bad type matchup, you have to switch Pokemon, which takes up a whole turn. Terastallization doesn't take up anything.
Yeah, and like it further layers into the mind games, right? Because like I don't like you can't really tell, right? Like what their Terra type's going to be. So like that could be someone's like ace in the hole in like a high level competitive battle, right? Like I don't know. I think it could be neat at those high levels. But like for like regular people like us, it's fine. I don't know. Like I'm not like gushing over it or anything. I think it's a neat like mechanical twist.
Yeah, and like the AI doesn't really know how to do it very well. Like obviously like the last gym leader always has a terrestrialized Pokemon that will change into whatever the gym type is. But like when you're fighting Nimona, like she always just terrestrializes her Pokemon just sort of because and never
It's always
right. It's always her starter.
Right?
Yeah.
She always, yeah, and so you can counter it. Like if you are already going to be super effective, you're now going to be much more.
Actually,
super
I don't think it works like that.
So,
I don't think it works defensively to increase your damage.
It does. It changes your type completely.
No, but like
so
if you had like the fire starter that was already weak to fire damage, or already weak to water attacks, and you terrestrialize Terrafire.
Oh, it doesn't get more water. No, yeah, but like if somebody sends out like a normal type and they like change it to a ghost type, it will take super effective damage from psychic.
Or yeah.
That was a terrible example. That was some of the more complicated typings, but
yeah. Now you're giving me ideas. I might like change the Terra type of my Oinkologne to make it actually useful, right? Because like I don't know, like normal types, they're boring. I'm sorry to say, but
I mean, I think that's the point.
Controversial take. Yeah, I actually think it's controversial because normal types tend to have.
That's true. That's what they make up
for.
They
do, but like. Yeah. I don't know. And I have noticed, and I've said this before, like to privately, I guess, but like a lot of normal types in this game. A lot of like normal normal secondary hybrids. Typing as well.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting choice. But for the most part, like design wise, I've been pretty happy with the Pokemon, right? Like some of them are a little goofy, but like
also I kind of love the Spanish theme and everything.
It's neat.
Paldea is based on
Cool.
Spain. Some of the towns, only a few of the towns really bother to do it, but the ones that do, I'm like, yeah, this is actually pretty sick.
And the Pokemon are all Spanish too, like the olive Pokemon, the olive family.
Yep, olives. Yeah, the olives, the Fuecoco definitely shows. Yeah, I like it. I like the game.
I kind of want to play it right now.
Yeah, maybe we should stop recording and go play it.
I can't. I have to go cook for Thanksgiving dinner. Not to date this episode too.
I'm gonna go play Pokemon.
But I don't know. Like, I guess just final thoughts. But like, I love this game, and it makes me really excited to see what's coming next. Because I think this is the first of this style of Pokemon game. Like, do you guys think we're gonna get like a black and white remake in this style? Like, is that possible? Because they generally try to do like the remakes in the style of like the current.
I don't think they're doing the style anymore. I think we're gonna get a lot more Brilliant Diamond.
Yeah, I really hope that's not the case.
Like, I mean, presumably, right? Like that would be a brand new game at that point, right? Like if they did black and white in the style of like Scarlet and Violet, that would be like, that would just be a new game. So, because the design is just,
I think the remix
way too different. So,
because Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl was done by a different studio, and I think they're going to do the same.
True,
you're probably right.
And you know, part of that is that you know they stepped away from Mega Evolution because it was too complicated for the continuity. And now they had like the regional gimmicks, right? So like you can only Dynamax in Galar, you can only Terastallize in Paldea, you can only use your stupid TikTok dances in Alola.
Oh, I forgot about those. That was unquestionably the worst one. The Z moves? Yeah, the Z moves.
No one likes that.
Yeah.
They were just boring.
But for that point, because like what they had to create a whole other universe because of Mega Evolution, and they don't want to do that anymore. So like, yeah, I think remakes might suffer just from now on because like Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl felt so milquetoast because it didn't have any of the fresh flair that like Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire had.
Okay. To be fair, though, the remakes have been bad for a long time. Like, Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire were just objectively worse than Emerald. Like, I hated Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. You couldn't pay me to play that game again. It was so boring.
I skipped them, so I can't really talk, but
I remember not finishing them.
I did like that there were megas.
They're terrible.
I do remember Heart Gold Soul Silver being the best remakes.
They were great.
Heart Gold Soul Silver was the best remake. Before Scarlet and Violet, I would have told you without a shadow of a doubt, Heart Gold Soul Silver is the best Pokemon game. I don't know if I would say that anymore. It still might be, because it has more than 400 Pokemon. That's still kind of a problem. But I hated the Ruby and Sapphire remakes. They took out the Battle Tower. They just removed a bunch of stuff. They lazily slapped all the legendaries into these weird portals in the sky. Like, it's a bad video game. It's so boring to play through. And, the too much water complaint, little bit true. It definitely, 3D exacerbated that issue. That
have you guys seen, there's like a fan-made YouTube video of like Team Rocket doing a podcast where, this is going to get meta, but where Jesse, James, and Meowth are talking about like all the different evil team leaders, and like they bring them all up in a row, and then Meowth goes, "Well, I don't know if you want to rope Maxie in with those other guys." It's like, maybe there is too much water, and then he basically goes in and goes even more in on it, like says like Maxie did nothing wrong. Like, I want to get rid of all the water. I don't want to have to get my fur wet to go to Moss Deep City. If I run into another Wingull, I'm gonna. It just like really goes off the rails, and then like Team Rocket's podcast gets canceled. No, this is just like a 2-minute YouTube video, but it's very funny. Okay, and I'll send it in the Discord.
But check out our Discord. But I just the thing that Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, it like took all the charm out. I don't know how they managed to do, like, you're seeing this region in 3D for the first time. You're expecting like spectacle, kind of. And they actually managed to make it uglier than the 2D games on Game Boy Advance.
Oh, the 2D games were gorgeous, though. Like, especially the GBA DS era, like they were nailing it.
Yeah, and like everything that made them good on the Game Boy Advance was gone on the 3DS. Like, Mauville City was just like a cute little town. They literally turned it into a giant box. They made it into the entire city as a mall in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, and it's just a big box on the map. It looks hideous. It's miserable to navigate around. Treefort City they ruined because it's like a 10-second cutscene every time you need to climb up a ladder. That's really annoying. I don't even remember Moss Deep, which is insane because Moss Deep was extremely memorable in the Game Boy Advance games. It was so cool to get into.
Yeah, you just go hang out at NASA real quick. You're just a random 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys know Mauville City was technically in the Johto games? Because if you play a French copy of Pokemon Gold or Silver, Violet City is called Mauville City.
Huh. Okay.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So yeah, it's kind of like a gimmicky little trivia thing, but it's kind of neat.
Yeah, man. Like, I hope they... I mean, it is wishful thinking at this point that they will adopt the Violet Scarlet style for Black White Remake, but...
I doubt it, yeah.
It could happen.
They might say, nah, that's too hard.
Yeah.
I'm so mad that they don't put the Battle Frontier in anymore. I know that I'm not getting a Battle Frontier in Scarlet and Violet, and I'm at peace with that.
I mean, they get a pass for Scarlet and Violet because of all the new stuff.
Yeah, I didn't need a Battle Frontier.
Yeah, but not having it in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire was just...
Especially because that Battle Frontier was so good.
Yeah, that was the best... Yeah,
it was the first one, wasn't it?
That was like the best post-game content, like, in most Pokemon games. Like,
it was hard.
The Islands and Leaf Green and Fire Red as well, but like, hard. Battle Frontier was up there for sure.
And I'd play a Battle Frontier in Scarlet and Violet a lot if it was there. But whatever. I'm not better.
Yeah,
maybe
I don't know.
DLC.
Like,
I'd pay DLC.
I mean, none of us really know what the post game is yet, so we'll see. I guess there might be something. Hopefully.
Yeah.
But I guess Any final thoughts on Scarlet and Violet?
Big thumbs up, despite all the issues with performance. Like,
second that. Yeah.
Third that.
All right. Yep. I think that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you all for listening. You can follow us at Podcast Game Talk on Twitter. Please like, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, or any other podcast services you use. Click the link in the description of this podcast to join on Discord and talk to us there. Thank you, Connor and Ranga.
Yeah. See you guys next week.
See you next time.
Nice to be.
Bye.